a movie that has had much fanfare. It was much anticipated, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I saw the movie, and of course, many brothers and sisters, many of you told me that I should prepare myself for what I would see, because although many of our people don't think deeply, those of you who do tend to think a little bit more in-depthly than others had already informed me that I probably would not be too excited about the message within the movie. Whenever you watch a movie, you have to pay attention, obviously, to the cinematography, the production itself. And obviously, I have to give a hats off in the kudos to director Ryan Coogler. You did an excellent job, my brother. Okay, I applaud you. You are with your queen. You have stayed with your queen, a beautiful black sister. I look forward to more of your works. You did an excellent job with Creed, okay, which you filmed in my neighborhood, all right? You did an excellent job with Fruitville Station, and I look for more and more from Brother Ryan Coogler. All of the actresses did an excellent job. Lupita, an excellent job. T'Challa, okay? Brother Bozeman, excellent job. Okay, Michael B., excellent job. The queen who played Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, the military unit, excellent job. She's the same sister who played Tupac's mother. The acting was A+. They did an excellent job. What I loved most about Black Panther was the fact that they had an entire cast of richly melanated Africans. For the first time, black children and the black child that lives within all of us, black children and the black child that lives within all of us had an opportunity to see a major motion picture where richly melanated Africans were not the tokens, were not the enemies, but were the antagonists, the protagonists. They were the extras. The movie was dominated with the original phenotype of African people. That was powerful. Because as you know, at being the certified school psychologist and educator that I am, I work every day in schools with our beautiful African children and those who are of darker hue. My complexion and darker tend to have low self-esteem complexes engendered in them by family, by society, and yes, by Hollywood. So for black girls to see chocolate, gorgeous black women with their own nappy ass heads was an intellectual insurrection. That was psychologically affirming to African children, black girls in particular. You cannot put a price on it. You cannot put a price on the validation and the verification and the redemption of soul and mind that took place within our black girls and black boys and even our adult black women who suffer from light skin supremacy and white supremacy, who suffer from light skin supremacy and white supremacy. And we are not in any way, shape, or form condemning, negating, or reducing the value of our light skin brothers and sisters, because the first color on the African flag is red. It's the blood that makes you African. And within the world of Pan-Africanism, we do not select out for color. Let me say it again. In the world of revolutionary Pan-African nationalism, classical Garveyism, we do not select out for color. Okay? Whether you are light, bright, or blue, black, purple, as long as you identify and are committed to the protection, defense, and maintenance of the red, the black, and the green, you are my brothers and you are my sisters. So we do not select out for color. But for those of us who are of a darker hue, we have a history of being rejected, denied, and excluded from opportunities to serve as major characters on the main stage. That's all we are saying. And I am saying that on behalf of black boys and black girls, psychologically speaking, the Black Panther movie was a home run. Nothing did my heart better than to see Nkoye say, I can't wait to get this thing off of my head, referencing the wig. She said, I can't wait to get this thing off of my head. That's where we need black women to get to the point where you feel ridiculous wearing the weave. You feel ridiculous wearing the perm. But for black men, we have to recognize that in order for our sisters to become liberated from the incarceration of European standards of beauty, in order for black women to feel liberated from the incarceration of European standards of beauty, black men are going to have to become more unapologetic in demanding that our sisters look like God made them and not the Korean hair care factory. Okay? It's up to us as black men to empower black women to go back to their natural state. As you've heard me say on multiple occasions, one of the most revolutionary things that can happen in America, in the world for that matter, because weave and perm are international phenomena. One of the most revolutionary things that can happen in this world for black girls is for black women to liberate themselves from the weave and the perm. So to see all that melanin on stage, beautiful. I loved it. Those chocolate women, I loved it. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Brothers and sisters, what I also loved about this movie was the manner in which Wakanda, the imaginary dreamland, and we're going to get into that, but I really loved and appreciated the manner in which, and I preached this, and I don't want to sound arrogant or vain, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that the writers of this film, Brother Coogler and the other brother, are not familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson. I know it's going to sound vain for you to hear me say that Killmonger quoted me several times in the movie. I know it's going to sound vain for you to hear me say Brother Killmonger quoted the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey several times in the movie. I know you're going to say that it's vain for Dr. Umar Johnson to say, what is the coincidence? What is the likelihood of a villain in the first major Marvel film with a black actor as its lead and an entire black cast, except for the two Neanderthals? What's the likelihood of the antagonist, Eric Killmonger, being ideologically homogenous with the Prince of Pan-Africanism? What's the likelihood of that? It's no likelihood. You know, like I know in the black consciousness movement, most of our brothers are not African. And most of them who are African are not Pan-Africanist. Okay, so you're going to have to do some selecting out. You're going to have to do some analysis of deduction to find out where did they get the ideology that they gave Killmonger, because the original Killmonger was not a Pan-Africanist. The original Killmonger in the comic book was not a Garveyite. He was not a revolutionary Pan-African nationalist. So who came up with the decision to demonize the ideology that just so happens to be the platform of the leading Pan-Africanist in the Western Hemisphere? But I digress. I digress. I love the fact that as Wakanda developed technologically, I loved the fact that as Wakanda developed scientifically, it did not shed its culture. I love the way in which the technology of Wakanda was effectively woven into the pre-existing culture of Wakanda. That was beautiful. They had culture side by side with technology. Why was that important? Why was it important? Brother Coogler did an excellent job in showing how we don't have to give up who we are in order to go where we need to be. We don't have to give up who we are in order to go to where we need to be. Where we need to be. That was beautiful. The culture was there. The greenery was there. The plants, the animals, the waterfall, the mountain. They didn't Europeanize Wakanda in order to become technologically sophisticated. They did not Europeanize Wakanda in order to become technologically sophisticated. So one of the benefits of this movie was that it showed Africans and African people, and particularly our leaders on the continent and our leaders in the Caribbean and our leaders in Central and South America, it showed them that you can improve the quality of life of Africa. You can improve the technological sophistication of Africa without killing the natural geography that God gave you. You do not have to kill the natural geography that God gave you in order to technologically advance your nation. That was powerful, because the white man has convinced African people that in order for you to modernize yourself, in order for Africa to catch up to the 21st century, in order for you to become technologically sophisticated, you got to kill off the wetlands. You got to institutionalize all of your animals. You got to cut up all of your rainforests. You have to mine all of your minerals. You have to rape the soil. I appreciate the fact that this movie showed you can have culture side by side with technology, that they are not inconsistent with each other. That was beautiful. The Chocolate Sisters, that was beautiful to me. What else did I love about this movie? I love the fact that within Wakandan culture, and this is true for most African cultures, but of course it was romanticized a bit, okay? And I didn't mind that. They used imagination to convey a particular spiritual reality. I appreciated the fact that in order for you to become king of Wakanda, in order for you to become king of Wakanda, you had to get buried in the soil of the ancestors. And in being buried in the soil of the ancestor and drinking the juice of the purple-hearted herb, you were automatically astro projected to the Orun, the heaven of the ancestors, where you had to have a conversation with your ancestors before you could accede to the throne. That was powerful. I want to say that again, because if we could achieve that type of spiritual technology, I think we would be able to get rid of a lot of the con artists in the conscious community. I think we would be able to get rid of a lot of the hustlers in the conscious community. I think we would be able to get rid of those brothers and sisters who only have a YouTube channel to get paid. I love the fact that in Wakanda, you had to get buried in the soil of your ancestors, go back to the Orun, and have a conversation with the ancestors before you could leave. Could you imagine if you had to get buried in the soil of your ancestors and you had to astro project back in time and have a conversation with the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey? You have to astro project back in time by way of the land of the ancestors to have a conversation with Queen Mother Sojourner Truth, to have a conversation with our revolutionary general Chris Ani, to have a conversation with Robert Sobukwe, to have a conversation with Thomas Sankara, to have a conversation with Osajafo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to have a conversation with Maurice Bishop, to have a conversation with Queen Mother Nanny of the Maroons, to have a conversation with Walter Rodney, Kwame Ture, Fred Hampton. What if we had to astro project to the land of the ancestors to go and have a conversation with them before we could ever seek to lead our people? That process can nearly guarantee that the leader will be sincere, will nearly guarantee that the leader will not betray his mission. That process will guarantee that the leadership will serve the people. Black African power. You are listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, because the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey is the king of Pan-Africanism. So I cannot be the king. I can only be the prince. Brothers and sisters, it was a powerful movie. spiritual technology next to material technology, African culture next to scientific expansion and development. I thought it was also beautiful that T'Challa's little sister Shuri, was responsible for manufacturing the weapons that her brother would use in defense of his people. To see a young black woman as a master of mathematics and science was extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Just like with the Hidden Figures movie. Just like with the Hidden Figures movie, it showed the brilliance of the African female. And when you go throughout history, traditional Africa, you will find that many black women were masters of science. Many of the students of Imhotep, masters of science, females. We talk about putting the black woman in leadership, but we also have to put the black woman back in her rightful place in technology. Now, for my brothers and sisters in the small South African country of Lesotho, for my brothers and sisters in the small South African country of Lesotho, for those of you who are familiar with Southern Africa, you know that within the country of South Africa is a little country in South Africa. Within the country of the Republic of South Africa, there's a little nation kingdom known as Lesotho, where I've spoken twice. Lesotho, Lesotho. I could tell that the story of the 5 tribes of Wakanda was borrowed from the story, the real story, about the creation of the Lesotho kingdom. Black power. Shout out to all my Basutus in Lesotho. I will be coming back. In fact, if y'all want me to make a stop in Lesotho while I'm in Johannesburg, we can make that happen. Get at me. WhatsApp. Get at me on WhatsApp. 215-989-9858. But let me get into this. When the movie comes on, it talks about how Wakanda came to be. How Wakanda grew out of the uniting of 5 tribes. Notice that Wakanda was up in the mountains. Well, guess what? The nation of Lesotho grew out of a what? Collection of neighboring tribes up in the mountains of South Africa, who were united under the leadership of King Moshoeshoe I. Make sure you study King Moshoeshoe I, a great African nationalist. I don't know if he was a Pan-Africanist, but he was without question an African nationalist. In fact, I'm going to say he was a Pan-African nationalist because he united different nations. That's Pan-Africanism. Whenever you start dealing with nations outside of your own, whenever you start working with ethnicities outside of your own, the minute you consider the life of another African, irrespective of his language, his culture, and his land, you're dealing in Pan-Africanism. King Moshoeshoe I, I want you to study him. Study him. Moshoeshoe. Moshoeshoe. King Moshoeshoe I in 1818, the year Frederick Douglass was born. King Moshoeshoe I went up into the mountains of Lesotho. This is the real story. This ain't Marvel Disney. This is the real story. A real hero by the name of King Moshoeshoe I united the neighboring tribes of Southern Africa in the mountain kingdom of Lesotho. Now I'm going to go a little further. Why did King Moshoeshoe I in 1818 unite the neighboring tribes of Southern Africa, which became the Lesotho kingdom? You know why? Because they were running from King Shaka, Kasensa Kakono Zulu. In order to strengthen and protect themselves from the invasion of King Shaka, Kasensa Kakono Zulu, they went up into the mountains of Lesotho, and different nations with different histories were united by King Moshoeshoe I, and that is how Lesotho was created. They took that story and gave you Wakanda. Facts. They took the story of the creation of the Lesotho kingdom, and from that story, they borrowed it for Wakanda. And for all my teachers out there, for all my educators, I think Wakanda, the Black Panther movie, is an excellent opportunity for you to segue your children out of the comic book of Black Panther and into the real books of Black African history. I said, for my teachers out there, the worst thing you could do is lose this opportunity to spark a thirst in our children to want to study the true history of Africa and African people. You need to challenge them on such questions as, why don't we have a real Wakanda in Africa? Why don't we have a real Wakanda in Africa? If Africa is the most minerally rich continent on earth, where is our real world Wakanda? You need to ask your children that. Because Africa has vibranium. Let me kick the vibranium for a minute. Y'all ready for this one? Y'all want to know what vibranium really is? Let me kick the science on vibranium. According to the movie, and y'all heard this articulated by several of the actors, the characters within the movie, they talked about how vibranium is a mineral responsible for what? The technological sophistication of Wakanda. They said because of the vibranium, Wakanda has been able to outdevelop and outdistance all other nations in the world, black or white. It is the vibranium that allows the Black Panther suit to be shot at, and the vibranium takes the energy of the bullets, stores it, charges it, and then when the Black Panther is ready, he can do what? He can initiate that stored energy into a weapon itself. Vibranium. Has anybody ever heard of a mineral known as coltan? Has anyone ever heard of a mineral known as coltan? Coltan is an acronym for a mineral known as columbite tantalite. Coltan is a mineral, okay? It's a compound word. Columbite and tantalite. They combine it, they call it coltan. Are you aware that coltan has the exact same properties as vibranium? Coltan allows an electric charge to be held, stored, and transmitted the same way the Panther suit operates. Coltan is absolutely necessary for any technological devices to operate. You have coltan in your cell phone. You have coltan in your laptop. You have coltan in your iPad. You have coltan in your automobile. You have coltan in your helicopter. You have coltan in your satellite. You have coltan in your space rockets. You have coltan in all electro-transmitting devices. Let me go further. Columbite and tantalite are also known as columbium and tantalum. Columbium, vibranium, tantalum, vibranium, niobium, vibranium. Is it a coincidence that the imaginary metal of titanium, vibranium, the imaginary metal of the Wakandan people, vibranium, rhymes with the real vibranium, which is columbium, that the white man has been robbing and stealing out of Africa for the past 50 plus years, without which his technological world would have never taken place. If you want to know what would happen if America gets his hands on vibranium, You don't have to worry about what will happen. You can look at what has already happened. The weapons of mass destruction that America has created were created with the coltan of the Congo. The weapons of the mass destruction that America uses today was created from the real vibranium. And the real vibranium is columbium, otherwise known as coltan. Vibranium, columbium, the words are almost the same. Let's go deeper. Now, the Congo isn't the only country that produces columbium. Egypt has it. Nigeria has it. There's other countries that produces it, but the Congo is the largest producer of columbium. The real vibranium. The real vibranium, brothers and sisters. And guess how much it costs? Guess how much columbium costs? $400 a kilogram. And guess who's mining it? Poor, impoverished African people. And guess how much they earn? $10 a week. Mining the most critical mineral in the technological world. Vibranium is a metaphor for columbium coltan. You want to know why there's always fighting in the Congo? You know why there's always fighting in the Congo? Because the CIA, and we're going to get to that in a minute, because somebody got to explain to me how the CIA agent in Black Panther is a friend to the Black Panther. Can somebody explain to me how the CIA agent, Officer Ross, the CIA agent in this movie, is a friend to Africa and African people? Are you crazy? Now, my brother Ryan Coogler, we got to talk about that, my brother. That's not acceptable. I'm still a fan of you, brother. No issues. But for the next Black Panther, we got to do something about that, my brother. You cannot misinform black children. I know it's a movie, but this ain't about movies. Condition the mind. Movies make the mind. Perception is reality, my brother. And it is very irresponsible to cast a CIA agent as a friend to African people. I got a problem with that. Now, some of y'all are going to say, why you got a problem with that? What's so bad about the CIA? Well, the CIA was founded in 1947 by a group of Wall Street bankers. Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in 1947 by a group of Wall Street bankers. Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in 1947, right after World War II, by a group of Wall Street bankers. Can anybody tell me why the CIA was founded right after the end of World War II? And can anybody tell me why it was Wall Street bankers who founded the CIA? Why was it founded right after World War II? And why was it founded by CIA bankers? Let's deal with the first part. The reason the CIA was founded in the aftermath of World War II was to prevent, as much as possible, the possibility of a World War III. In other words, we're going to create a clandestine organization, a terrorist organization. The CIA is a terrorist organization that is not bound to the laws of the Constitution, to go around the world serving as the international gangsters for the international bankers. Pow! Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in the aftermath of World War II to go around the world undercover, not bound by the rules of the Constitution, acting as the international gangsters for the international bankers. The number one operative of the CIA is to sell drugs so that money could be raised off of the books. Here we go. The number one operative of the CIA is to sell dope, crack, heroin, opium. Why do they sell the dope? They sell the dope for two reasons. Number one, to supplement the New York Stock Exchange, to make sure that there is not another Great Depression. That's number one. Okay, that's number one. Americans are unemployed. Americans are jobless. If you got people who don't have money to buy, the stock market takes a hit. But there is one thing that people will buy, they will steal to buy, and that is dope. A crackhead will not let anything stop him or her from getting high. So if we sell the dope, we are guaranteed to keep a fresh supply of money to keep the stock market healthy. Facts. If you knew all of the American corporations that invest in dope and use dope money to keep the stocks afloat, it'll blow your mind. You got a 401k? You got a pension? You got a retirement plan? Well, guess what? I can almost guarantee you that if it wasn't for drugs being sold, your retirement money would not be what it is by the time you decide to withdraw that money. These are facts. So the CIA's job is to, number one, keep the stock market healthy by selling dope and investing the money in the stock market. That's number one. The second job of the CIA is to take some of that drug money, sneak into Africa, take some of that drug money and sneak into South America. Take some of that drug money and sneak into the Caribbean islands, like they did with our brother Maurice Bishop of Grenada in 1983. And they take that money and sneak into the Congo, where the real vibranium is columbium. The real vibranium is columbium. The real vibranium is Colombia. And they sneak into the Congo. And they do what? They finance the overthrow of African leaders who don't agree with them. Let me say it again. They finance the overthrow of African leaders they don't agree with drug money because it cannot be traced to the U.S. Treasury. That's why. That's why. The CIA are the gangsters for the international bankers. If the African country don't want to give up that gold, you don't want to give up those diamonds, you don't want to give up that coltan, you don't want to give up that gas, you don't want to give up that oil, we will finance your opposition, give them weapons and money to overthrow you. How dare you have the CIA as a positive character in a movie about African people? Brother Kugler, you got to change that, my brother. Let me tell you some of the things the CIA, Cocaine Import Agency, the gangsters for the bankers. Let me tell you some of the resume items of the CIA. In 1961, President Dwight Eisenhower ordered CIA Director Allen Dulles. That's right. The same Dulles for whom the Washington, D.C. airport is named. That's right. The same Dulles for whom the Washington, D.C. airport is named. The very same person. And guess what Allen Dulles was doing before he took over the CIA? Guess what Allen Dulles was doing before he took over the CIA? He was a Wall Street executive. Why are so many directors of the CIA Wall Street executives? Not all of them, but many of them. George W. Bush was CIA director before he became president. That's one of the reasons why he became president for the so-called Gulf War, because they needed the oil and the gasoline. Dwight Eisenhower ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, and he ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, and he ordered Allen Dulles to do it. Oh, yes. Dwight Eisenhower preceded John F. Kennedy. And as president, he ordered Allen Dulles, director of the CIA, or soon to be director of the CIA, he ordered him to take out Patrice Lumumba, the first duly elected prime minister of the Congo. The first duly elected prime minister of the Congo. Patrice Lumumba was murdered by the CIA. Patrice Lumumba was murdered by the CIA. They also poisoned his toothpaste. And many believe that his baby girl who died in Switzerland in the hospital was poisoned by the CIA. They're the ones who worked with the government of Belgium to chop up Patrice Lumumba's body and burn it. It was the CIA, cocaine import agency, who did that. And y'all got the CIA as a friend? Did you notice in Black Panther, Agent Ross helped save Wakanda? Did you realize how in the movie, Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita? Check out the symbolism in this. Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita and takes a bullet from Killmonger's gun for Lupita. Look at the symbolism. A white man saved the black woman from the black man. The white man saved the black woman from the black man. Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita and takes Killmonger's bullet for Lupita. The white man protects the black woman from the black man. Hence child support. Hence custody court. Hence food stamps. Hence Section 8. Hence welfare. Hence aid to families with the, hence homeless shelter. The white man protects the black woman from the black man. And then Lupita, after the white man saves her from her brother, the white man saves the African the black woman from the black man, and then the black woman Lupita falls for the white man. Not romantically, psychologically. She says, we have to take him back to Wakanda because he saved my life. And Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, the one who played Tupac's mother, what I loved about her, she said, take him where? You can't take this man back to our country. He's a devil. And T'Challa, being the beta male that he was, let's just be honest, brothers and sisters, T'Challa was a beta male in this movie. Would we all agree on that? He was not alpha. In fact, in the Black Panther movie, all of the alpha males were antagonists. There were 3 alpha males in this movie. 3. M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari guerrilla tribe up in the mountains. And I'm going to come back to that. M'Baku was an alpha. Look how he was portrayed in the movie. Okay? He was an antagonist. He was not positive. M'Baku was an antagonist. Yes, he saved T'Challa in the end. Yes, he kept him alive. But let's just be honest. Generally speaking, he would not be a protagonist. He was an antagonist in this movie. Alpha male antagonist. Who's the other 2 alpha male antagonists? The brother from Get Out and Goye's husband. He was an alpha male until she turned him into a beta at the end of the movie, okay? He was the alpha male. He wanted to go to war. He felt T'Challa was too weak and soft. What did he say? I sent you to go and get Claw. Claw killed my people. I told you to go get Claw, bring him back dead or alive. T'Challa said, I'm going to bring him back alive. He showed up without him. Get Out said, what happened? T'Challa said, he got away from us. And he looked at him and said, there you go with your weak-ass beta male self. I knew you couldn't get the job done. You too soft for this. Get Out told T'Challa, basically, you not built for this. So when Killmonger showed up with Claw's body, Get Out was all for Killmonger because he said, listen, I ain't crazy about no African-American king. But if he got some testosterone, if he got some guts, if he got some courage, I'd rather have an African-American leader with guts than an African leader with no courage. So Get Out was an alpha male. M'Baku was an alpha male. And Eric Killmonger was an alpha male. None of the alpha males were positive characters. Only the beta males were alpha. But at the same time, they had no problem with all the sisters being alpha females. Facts. Most of the women in the movie, except Queen Mother Angela Bassett with her fine self, all of the sisters in the movie, except Shuri, but even Shuri, she was a little bit more feminine than the rest of them, but the entire Dora Milaje, they were she-males. What is a she-male? That's an alpha female. A she-male. So this is a movie about African culture. This is a movie about African culture, but all the alpha men are antagonists. The protagonist is a beta male. Look at this. The superhero is a pro-CIA bougie African leader. Can I be honest today? Can I be honest today? How the hell you going to give black children a pro-CIA beta male superhero? Somebody got to give me an answer. Somebody got to give me an answer. I'm just asking a question. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just asking a question. Don't kill the messenger. How can a superhero for black children be pro-CIA and a beta male? And on top of that, don't care about no other people except his own. See, one of the beauties about Black Panther, because I'm going to show Black Panther at FDMG, one of the beauties about this movie is it shows the differences between the revolutionary Pan-African nationalism of a Marcus Garvey and the African nationalism of Prince T'Challa of Wakanda. One of the things on trial in this movie is Pan-African nationalism versus African nationalism. Prince T'Challa and his father, King T'Chaka, they were both African nationalists. They only cared about the best interests of Wakandans. They were not even continental Pan-Africanists, because you have continental Pan-Africanists and you have universal Pan-Africanists. A continental Pan-Africanist is a Pan-Africanist who cares about the continent of Africa. In other words, they don't just care about their own country. They care about all of Africa. That's a continental Pan-Africanist. A universal Pan-Africanist, a Pan-African nationalist is concerned about all Africans in the world. Prince T'Challa and his father, King T'Chaka, were African nationalists. It was good. They were not interested in sharing their country with the white man. That's good. But we don't need African nationalism. We need Pan-African nationalism. Because if you only are concerned about Wakanda, this is how Africa got taken. Listen to me, brothers and sisters. One of the strategies that the white man used to take Africa, to colonize Africa, okay? To colonize Africa, is they depended on the selfish African nationalism of the various ethnic groups on the continent. There were really no nation states at the time that colonialism took root. But for lack of a better word, I'm saying cultural group, because there were no nation states really at that time. Okay? There were nations, but a geographical nation state with clearly defined borders. Okay? That comes later. So the white man knew that the Zulu didn't really rock with the Xhosa. Okay? ethnic nations, not nation states. They knew that the Swazi didn't really mess with the Zulu. They knew the Hutu didn't really get down with the Tutsi. Yes. Yes. They play the different nations off of each other. African nationalism is narrow-minded because it says, I'm going to look out for my nation, but I'm not going to give a damn about my next door neighbor. But if the white man takes down your next door neighbor, you are next. I would argue that Shaka Kasensa Zulu, who was personified in Killmonger, Shaka Kasensa Gulu, who was personified in Killmonger, was a continental Pan-Africanist. Why? Because Shaka Zulu, why did he take over the various nations in Southern Africa? Why did he conquer so much of Southern Africa? Because he needed the Southern African nations to stop beefing with each other, to unite in order to ward off the British menace. And the Dutch menace. Shaka knew they were coming. So Shaka Zulu said, listen, Swazi, work with me or I got to take you over. Listen, Kosa, work with me and I got to take you over. But he went to them all. Some said, we're going to work with Shakas. Others said, hell no. Shaka said, okay, get down and lay down. I'm just going to gangster the whole damn country. And I'm just using Zulu and Kosa figuratively, okay? Because there's a lot of different ethnicities in Southern Africa, and I don't want to misrepresent any of them, so I'm just using them hypothetically. But Shaka went to these nations and said, listen, we got to unite. They didn't want to unite, so what did Shaka do? He took them by force. He took them by force. And those who escaped went up into Lesotho, and they formed under King Moshoeshoe I in 1818, the Kingdom of Lesotho. The story for which was stolen and used, or borrowed, excuse me, because I don't see anything wrong with it, borrowed and used for the origin of Wakanda's story. And when I say that Eric Killmonger personifies Shaka, look at what Eric Killmonger does in the movie, and look at some of the aspects of King Shaka's reign, the real Shaka. In fact, T'Challa's father was named Shaka. T'Challa's father was named Shaka. So clearly there was a serious Shaka Zulu metaphor running through this movie. Let's look at Shaka Zulu. Shaka was born the illegitimate son of a Zulu king, King Kasensa Kakona. His mother was outcast. The son was outcast. Now let's look at Eric Killmonger. Eric Killmonger's father, Prince Umjobu, is an undercover spy for the Wakandan government assigned to Oakland, California. He has a child with a descendant of enslaved Africans. His brother finds out, King T'Chaka, and he tells him that you have to come back to Wakanda and stand trial because you helped Ulysses Claw, a German. Keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. Ulysses Claw, a German. He uses Ulysses Claw. He tells him, Prince Umjobu, living in Oakland, son by an African-American woman. He helps Ulysses Claw break into Wakanda and steal a 1/4 ton, I believe it was, of vibranium. A 1/4 ton of vibranium. To do what? Bring some of that vibranium to Oakland so that Prince Umjobu and his son Eric Killmonger can use the technology of vibranium to do what? Empower African Americans. What does he say to his big brother, King T'Chaka, when he shows up in his house in Oakland with the Dora Milaje? He says their leaders are being killed. They're being criminalized. I can't remember his exact words, but he basically said everything that we know. They're being miseducated, mass incarcerated. They're being killed by the police. Black people are being stepped on and walked on, my big brother, King Chaka. We got to help our people. He feels for African Americans because Prince Mjobu is a Pan-African nationalist. He's influenced by the Black Revolution struggles of America, and he wants to help us. He wants to help us. He's a Pan-African nationalist like his son would be. Eric Killmonger, a Pan-African nationalist. The problem is King T'Chaka, just like his son, Prince T'Challa, were not Pan-African nationalists. They were African nationalists, and they didn't give a damn about no black people who were not Wakandan. Facts. Facts. So let's stay with the story. So Eric Killmonger, the illegitimate child of a prince, Shaka Zulu, the illegitimate child of a king, spawned, neglected, left, shot. Look at the parallel between the real Shaka Zulu and Eric Killmonger. And then Shaka Zulu comes back to the throne and does what? Take it by force. Shaka Zulu says, you don't give me the throne, I'ma come and take it. Shaka Zulu took the Zulu throne. What did Eric Killmonger do in Black Panther? Did he not show up to the throne and said, I'm coming for the throne? I'm coming for the throne. So they took the story of Shaka Zulu and they mixed it with the revolutionary Pan-African nationalism of a Marcus Garvey and Umar Johnson, and they personified it in Killmonger. This also explains Killmonger's fight with the Wakandans. Why? Because the Wakandans were a united tribe in the mountains. I just told you earlier that the kingdom of Lesotho was created in 1818 by King Moshoeshoe I to do what? Unite against the imperial rule of Shaka Zulu. In the movie, Eric Killmonger fights against the 5 tribes the same way the kingdom of Lesotho prepared to fight against Shaka Zulu. This whole movie is about our history. There's some manipulations. There's some omissions. There's some, clearly some misrepresentations. But there's a lot of African history in this movie. The major language spoken in the movie was what? Xhosa. The 2 largest tribes in South Africa, Zulu and Xhosa. My oldest daughter's middle name, Nkosazana, Royal Princess. Okay? I want to go back to the CIA agent Ross, if we may. I want to go back to the CIA agent Ross, if we may. He saves that black woman from the black man's bullet. The white man saves the black woman from the black man's bullet. The black woman is so enthralled by this that she risks national security. She risks national security and told her love, the king of Wakanda, Prince T'Challa, he saved me, T'Challa. He took the bullet for me. This good white man saved me, T'Challa. We can take him back to Wakanda. Your sister Shuri, we can heal this man. Okoye, Dora Milaje, who was more alpha than T'Challa. Would we agree that Nkoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, was more alpha than the damn king? She says, you don't bring this man to our country. He's CIA. That's not her words, but basically. And then Lupita looks at Nkoye and says, but he saved me. And what did Okoye say? What did Okoye say? When Lupita said, but he saved my life, what did Okoye say? She said that was his decision. That was his decision. What I loved about this dialogue is it showed how we as African people, we as black people have to stop letting, here we go again. I've been teaching y'all this for years. We got to stop letting personal relationships with white people. We have to stop letting personal relationships with white people. We have to stop letting personal relationships with white people affect political decisions for our people. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. We have to stop letting our personal relationships with white people affect our political decisions for our people. Okoye was right. She was right. Let him die where he is. He is an enemy. Did you not see him talking to Eric Ulysses Claw? The CIA man was willing to work with Claw, but Claw wasn't willing to do it. Claw was a cowboy. Claw was a cowboy. That CIA man ain't give a damn about no Wakanda. He wanted Wakanda's secrets. He wanted the secrets. It gets worse. It gets worse. Because they bring the white man back. They don't put him in a hotel. They don't hide him in a forest. They don't put him in a house. Guess what they do? They bring this devil, Agent Ross of the CIA, and they bring him to the middle of the Wakandan scientific universe. They brought him to the very lab where they make the Black Panther uniform. They bring him to the very nexus of their military power. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you haven't read it. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you haven't read it. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you have not read it. Please read that book. Because in this movie, they repeat the same mistakes that our ancestors repeated that allowed the European to lay siege to Africa. You don't bring no damn CIA agent to the middle of your empire. Are you sick? And did you notice what happened once the white man was healed and he got up out the bed? Shuri, our brilliant, scientifically and mathematically advanced sister, he starts asking questions, right? He starts asking Shuri questions like, what is that and what is this? She's telling him all the damn secrets. She ain't got no common sense. Brilliant little beautiful sister, but she ain't got no damn common sense. You don't tell no damn Neanderthal all of our business, our scientific business that has kept our nation afloat and alive. And not only that, what happens when Wakanda goes to war with itself? The Civil War. The Civil War between Killmonger and T'Challa's loyalists, because that was a civil war. That was poking at the civil wars in Africa. Now check this out. Who engineers most of the civil wars in Africa? The CIA. And remember when Agent Ross, Lupita, Shuri, and T'Challa was talking about Killmonger? Remember they brought Killmonger up and said, he's here? And somebody said, we don't want him here. And what did the white man say? What did that devil say? He said, you're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. Did you hear that? You're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. You're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. And then Agent Ross goes on to say what? Killmonger. When they said Killmonger burned the herb of the Black Panther, the purple herb, Agent Ross says what? He was trained. We trained him how to destabilize foreign governors. We trained him to destabilize foreign governments. Did y'all hear him say that? He said they trained Killmonger to destabilize foreign governments. And basically, if you let him take over Wakanda, he going to destroy y'all too. So here you go again. A big problem we got as Africans, letting white people give us advice about other black people. Here we go again. A big problem we have as Africans, letting white people give us advice about other black people. Letting white people choose our leaders and tell us what leaders are no good for you. They'll say, Jesse Jackson is okay, but you don't want no Dr. King. Reverend so-and-so, Billy Cowles is okay, but you don't want no Malcolm X. The NAACP and Urban League, it's okay, but you don't want no Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. That's exactly what Agent Ross was doing, trying to tell them. This is the most technologically advanced nation in the world, and he's trying to tell them who they should follow and who they shouldn't. And one of the things that I loved about M'Baku, leader of the Jabari guerrilla tribe, M'Baku, remember when Queen Mother Angela Bassett and Lupita went to M'Baku to get help to fight Killmonger, which is also symbolic of the Lesotho nation uniting to resist Shaka Zulu's domination? That was all historical symbolism. But remember when they got to M'Baku's throne and they started talking to M'Baku about the problem with Killmonger? What did M'Baku do? What did the alpha male tell Agent Ross? What did M'Baku do? M'Baku said, you can't talk here. Do y'all remember that? M'Baku said, you cannot speak in this chamber. He shut him down. He shut him down. He said, don't no cracker talk in here. You ain't my friend. T'Challa didn't have a problem with it. Lupita didn't have a problem with him talking. Shuri didn't have a problem with him talking. But M'Baku didn't play them games. M'Baku didn't play them games. M'Baku said, you are not one of us. You are not our friend. I do not trust you. Remember? He start talking. They start bark. Roof. 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 Y'all remember that? Every time he tried to talk. Roof. 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 Shut your ass up. You don't even belong here. Shut your ass up. And then do you also remember when Angela Bassett and Shuri and Lupita, I believe it was all three of them, maybe just Lupita and Angela, remember when they pulled out the purple herb? They saved some of the purple herb and they gave it to T'Challa when he was laying in the ice. Did you see what M'Baku did with the CIA agent Ross? He made Agent Ross turn his back so he would not witness the spiritual ritual. Did y'all see that? M'Baku made him turn. This is none of your business. This is none. You will not see our spiritual rituals. That is sacred to us. That is sacred to us. M'Baku was a hero in this movie. For all my educators, you got to bring M'Baku out to your children and do a compare and contrast. Why was T'Challa so accepting of the CIA? And why was M'Baku so untrusting of the CIA? Why was the beta male? Look at how the beta male dealt with the white man. And look at how the alpha male dealt with the white man. Look at how the beta male dealt with the white man. And look at how the alpha male dealt with the white man. Very important. Very important to see the differences there. Very important. And then when the Civil War began, Shuri gives the white man the vibranium. Did y'all see that? She gave him the vibranium bracelet or a piece of the vibranium. She gave him some of the damn mineral. I said, look at this crap here. She gave him the damn mineral, then created the spaceship. He gets in the spaceship, right? And remember when he said, I can't get out the spaceship, so he's helping the Wakandans save themselves from the African Americans. He's in a spaceship helping the Wakandans save themselves from the African Americans, right? And then remember, Shuri said, you have to get out of there. He said, I don't know how. I don't know how. And guess what she does? Cooning her little gorgeously intelligent self off. Guess what Shuri does? Cooning her little gorgeously intelligent self off. She says, cross your arms. Y'all remember this? She gave the devil the secrets of the empire. She said, you have the vibranium. cross your arms and break out the ship.